Trending with the Tribune presents Scott Tift for Davidson County Chancery Court Judge.
Welcome to Trending with the Tribune. I'm Rosetta Perry, publisher. And today I will be talking to Scott Tift. He's running for judge of the Chancery Court. So Scott, will you tell us your background?
Yes, ma'am. First off, welcome. Thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here with the Tribune. And my background is I grew up in Macon, Georgia, son to a family of very interested and active people that set in me a mindset of public service. From my grandmother at First Baptist Church in Macon, Georgia, always working every Wednesday at the pantry for clothing for people who couldn't afford their clothes, to my mother working twice a week on a volunteer basis at a free medical clinic for people who couldn't afford medical services, and on, just a life modeled for me of public service. And I had the good fortune to go to college in New York City and at Columbia University up there, and loved New York City and the life and the energy and the excitement. And when I graduated, I wanted to try to do something to make our community better, and so I moved to New Hampshire to work as a field campaign staffer for Howard Dean's presidential campaign. And Governor Dean was inspiring to me as someone who, before we were talking about healthcare as much, was saying we need healthcare coverage for people. As a doctor, we need to not be spending so much time in a war that we can't win. And he was the person out there saying, let's focus on us and fix the community. And so I was a door knocker for him at first and proceeded through the ranks, but spent my time getting to know people in New Hampshire, what made them tick, what made them upset, what made them excited, and what might motivate them to get out and vote. And it was a great experience that ended all too quickly with a famous scream speech in Iowa after he was unsuccessful in Iowa. And one of the most formative years of my life, just getting to talk to people all day, every day. And so when that fell apart, I moved back to New York City, and to my great honor was able to work with President Bill Clinton for a year. And of course he was a former president at the time, but I was on his either working on the president's schedule or traveling with him around the city to different events that he was doing. And I've had the pleasure ever since then of still continuing to staff the president every once or twice a year, whether he's in Nashville or somewhere nearby in the South. Staffed him in Memphis a few times, and so just learned so much from him as such an empathetic communicator that clearly cares about everyone. And I came to law school after my year with the Dean campaign and my year with the president because I saw that people could make a difference with law degrees. And it seemed like the way for me to try to make a difference. And so that brought me to Nashville, Tennessee, my father's alma mater, Vanderbilt, for law school. And finished up law school, spent a couple years working at one of the big firms downtown called Bass, Berry & Sims. But about 8.5 years ago, George Citizen Barrett called me on the phone out of the blue and said, I need some help over here. And if you've gone to Vanderbilt or lived in Nashville, when the citizen calls, you try to say yes. And so I've now been working for about 8 years at George Barrett's old firm, representing people exclusively, whether that's people in civil rights cases of all measures, from voting rights to free speech to discrimination to the right to get paid for the work you do, or whether that's representing our unionized brothers and sisters and all of our Kroger workers at UFCW or our school workers at SEIU. And the common thread is it's representing people, and it's helping them with their what are truly civil rights, getting paid, not getting discriminated against at work, being able to practice the religion you want to practice. And it's been an inspiration, and it's led me to run for the Chancery Court because I think it's important to have people that have represented people in the courthouse. And so that's ultimately why I'm running, because I think we need judges who represented people, because they bring a perspective that they're going to treat the person who might not even have a lawyer on the same level as any big entity, whether it's a government or a company with lots of lawyers. And it's not that you're going to be unfairly for lawyers, for people, it's that you're going to actually have a level playing field.
So what is the role of the Chancery Court?
The Chancery Court is actually the court that touches every member of the Nashville community's life in some way, every single member, because it's the court that reviews any metro decision, whether that's the Board of Zoning Appeals or planning or civil service for all of our metro employees or the Fair Board. This Chancery Court in Davidson also, because the capital is based here, is the court that does the same for state of Tennessee decisions. So TennCare is a big one. If somebody has their TennCare coverage altered or removed and they are going to have that decision reviewed, it goes to Chancery Court. They also do business cases, contract disputes, which any person could end up in if they had a contract go wrong. And so it's a court that, in an entirely civil way, it's a civil court, it's not criminal court, but because of that oversight of the government, it touches everyone's life, whether it's your neighbor building tall and skinnies, or whether it's, you were terminated from Metro and you have a civil service appeal, or all of the different things, the reassessment that we just all got, that's a board that goes there. So it's a very important court to people's lives that very few people actually know about. Not their own fault, it's just not publicized much.
So what part of your background, your experience, would make you feel that you're qualified to run for this particular judgeship in the Chancery Court?
Yes, ma'am. Well, first of all, of course, on the basis of 10 years of representing people in litigation of all sorts, complex or one-person cases, many jury trials, actual trial experience is, of course, a prerequisite. Mm-hmm. But then I believe that the big reason to support me is that I am someone who's represented people for all these years, and sort of the legacy of George Barrett's shop is lawyers who are out there making sure that people are treated right. And so I think you need judges wherever possible that have had that background. And so that's what I think is the reason that people should choose Tift on May 1st.
Okay, so is there anything else you would like to say about yourself, why the community should vote for you?
Well, the only other thing I would say, I think family is of course important, and I do want to mention that we have two lovely young boys, a 6-year-old Isaac, a 4-year-old Arthur, and my wife is a lawyer who advises doctors, and she's a healthcare lawyer, and so I think the family is important. I also think that the church is important, and we live right across the street in East Nashville from East End United Methodist, and so that's our church home. And then the final piece that is not about me, but about this place where we are, is I just want to express a profound respect for both what you've done and what this organization has done for 40 years now as a fundamental, essential part of the community. It's a model that many places don't have, and every place should have.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Yes, thank you. Happy to be here.
Thank you for visiting us, trending with the Tribune.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.